We're inside the WV Mason Report on GoHofstra.com. Mike Maravito here with the Hofstra baseball coach John Russo. And Coach, you guys start CAA play this past weekend down in Harrisonburg, Virginia, the same place you ended your season last year at the CAA tournament. Take on a James Madison team that looked completely different really than what they were last year, a little bruised and battered, didn't make the conference tournament. Lose 3 games to start CAA slate, but at the end of the day, was it good to just get into the Colonial schedule, which you'll be riding the rest of the year?
It was, I didn't think we were ready for this weekend at all, and that's my fault. But a little bit is we just haven't been able to get things going to where we needed. But we really competed well and gave it a great effort. And conference play is always fun, but getting swept on any weekend is not fun. And I don't remember the last series we were swept. I don't even think we were swept at all last year, and we went 10-0 on Sunday, and we lost this Sunday, so it's off to a bad start right now.
Now, before we really get into the series here, I already mentioned James Madison didn't make the conference tournament last year. Spanky McFarland, former coach of the year in the CAA, I remember giving the speech at the banquet. For 6 other coaches, any coach, I'm sure that would be tough to do at your own place. How much do you think last year's struggles have motivated this team to start the year? Because they look completely different.
You're right. What it did, that they had a lot of injuries and they had a different team, and they still were able to beat us last year. But he's a really good coach, super respected, very aggressive, tough, hard-nosed teams. Well, then the kids that got to play last year because of injuries got a lot of experience, like Patrick Torres, their number 1. Probably wasn't expected to be a guy, and then he ends up being their number 1 starter. And then you get the McFarlands back of the world, the Bladells, the Tenaglia was out last year. They're 3-hole hitters in 460 this year, and you get Connor Brown, another kid that was hurt last year. So they dealt with some injuries, and then it was a completely different and confident team. But even last year, I thought that they were a competitive club. They just didn't have the season they wanted. But now they were competitive and really skilled, and it was a really tough weekend.
Now let's look at that Friday game. You guys dig yourselves in a bit of a hole in game 1 and then claw all the way back, actually take the lead before losing on a walk-off sac fly. Really past 3 years you guys have played this team, there's been back and forth, big deficits each side. Were you at least proud to see them come back and have a chance to win that late in the ball game?
We were. I thought we had a chance to really open up the game early. We had bases loaded, 1 out in the first, and had a run in, and didn't get 2 quality at bats, to end that inning. And then the next inning we had Torres in a lot of trouble and didn't do anything. The third we had him in trouble again and didn't really capitalize. And so, I'm complaining about scoring 11 runs, but I thought we had a chance to put up 14, 15, maybe more, and it ended up costing us. I was real proud of the team for coming back. We didn't get as good a pitching as what we've been used to, and a strength of ours has been definitely the bullpen, and the bullpen didn't perform that great. And to be honest, going into the game, if you told me we were going to score 11 runs and not make an error in game 1 against Torres, I would have bet 99 out of 100 times that's a win.
And Joe Berg starts game 1. Actually, that was on the Saturday with a doubleheader with the postponement on Friday. Now, with Joe, he's been your most steady pitcher to start the season. Kind of got a little roughed up in game 1 of the doubleheader. Moving forward, still, the confidence is there, and you just think he had a rough start?
I do. James Madison just, like you said earlier, they put up a lot of runs on us. We just don't have a really good answer for them. Last year, they put up 50 runs in 3 games. This weekend, they put up another 40 runs in 3 games. Whatever our scouting report is or whatever we're doing, obviously we're not doing it very well. It was, it took till about yesterday, the 3rd inning for us to finally have a couple, zeros on the board.
And shifting to game 2, really could never get things going, an 18-3 loss. John Tiedemann starting that game. He's been a little inconsistent to start the year. Did you think yesterday on the Saturday in game 2 maybe the deficit early on really just got to him and the rest of your team after a hard-fought game 1?
I definitely think so. I believe that's our 4th walk-off loss, and to come back from 7 down to score 8, and then to lose the game like we did, we lost it so quickly. It was a run lead, and then the next thing you know, there it is, it's gone. And I just think emotionally it was too much to handle for everybody. And to be honest, if Teeds would have thrown that game, he would have been doing a lot by himself. And we just never got anything going in that game, and to be honest, James Madison had so much momentum going, it was almost impossible to stop.
Now, before we get to yesterday's game, obviously, lineup this year looks a lot different than what it did in 2012. Your top 3 guys on the lineup, 1, 2, 3, two of which suffered injuries. Only Dalton Rouleau seen little time, and Danny Poma, of course, Diamondbacks organization this year. How tough is that for you to have those three guys not only not there and with the two as you expected, but also besides Austin Nyman, those three were really the guys who got things going on the base paths?
You're right. I mean, there's not a lot of lineups I wrote this past fall thinking Dalton Rouleau and Matt Ford weren't going to be 1 and 3 in those lineups, and was trying to figure out who would hit 2 because you had Hammer hitting 4 and Kenny Jackson back at 5. So I thought on paper we had a really good lineup returning, and it hasn't turned out to be. But I thought this weekend we finally started to swing the bats well. We got the offense going some. I think almost 40 hits on the weekend, and increased our batting average some 30 points. We had Chris Nardo really step up. He gets 4 hits in the first game and hit really solid the whole weekend. And to be honest, we got Jared Hammer back this weekend, and he really delivered and was big in big spots. And I know it might not show on paper, but Joe Perez I thought really swung the bat well. He drew a lot of walks, which is telling me he's seeing the ball well. And to be honest, he really locked down shortstop. He only made 1 error in 3 games, and there's no telling how many good plays he made to keep us in innings.
Now, another thing that, in baseball you really don't see on the box score, James Madison, of course, more down in the southern part of the country. They've been outside a lot more than you guys have. Season not even a month old, and you're just finally getting outside, had a few home games canceled. How much do you think that plays a role in your bats not heating up early on?
Right. I think it's the biggest factor. Every game outside's been the only time we've been outside so far. We haven't been able to practice outside. We haven't had a game, midweek game to get some midweek type pitching. And, we did what we did offensively this weekend, still against conference pitching. And it's just been a really tough deal. And, some of it we haven't even been outside 3 times. We've been outside twice. A doubleheader on Saturday, single Sunday. That's what we've done that twice now. So, we've only really been outside a total of 10 days in a whole month. And it's just been a lot to overcome. Everywhere it has their troubles and everybody has their battles. And, at some point we just need to start playing better and having something we can rely on. I thought going into the weekend that was the pitching, and then the pitching let us down this weekend. To be honest, we just haven't put it all together yet.
And then Sunday, of course, yesterday, the Game 3 of the 3-game opening conference series set against James Madison. You guys fall in that one as well, but you did have the game's tying run at the plate in the 9th inning. So again, very close. Another close game down in Harrisonburg. Jared Rogers getting the start. What did you see from Jared? He struggled a bit, obviously, with looking at the box score, and again, the resiliency to come back.
Well, Jared just had a lot of trouble with James Madison, and they were just rolling, steamball downhill, and it was just tough to stop. And they got to Barbs too a little bit, who's been one of our best relievers and is our best relievers. Finally Schreiber was able to come in and settle him down. And then, I think we really gained a lot of momentum yesterday when David Dorico made his return back. He came in and the team was really fired up. I think we scored 3 the next inning and seemed to have a lot of energy after that. And then we, like you said, loaded the bases with 2 outs in the 9th and had a chance. Matt had a 2-0 count, a good pitch to hit, late in the game to tie it. So, we did make a good comeback, but, we got down too much.
And you mentioned Dorico, obviously, big story coming back from that Tommy John surgery they suffered really less than a year ago, really close to that year anniversary down in Norfolk. But with him coming back, how did he feel after pitching, and be moving forward? How big is he for this pitching rotation?
I guess the biggest thing I could tell you is James Madison was a good fastball hitting team, and the very first pitch David threw, their guy lined it into their dugout. That's how late he was. He had really good stuff. To be honest, better stuff than he's shown in any bullpen for us. Maybe the adrenaline of the game, maybe being a game pitcher, I don't know, but he has a different toughness than basically anybody on the team. And, to get him back and to get him, somewhere, try to get him back onto Friday night, it just set such a great tone for the team and a great tone for the pitching staff. He threw 10 pitches, 7 strikes, had 3 really, easy, 2 ground balls and a pop-out, I believe, and it was the most excited I'd ever seen him walk off the mound. To be honest, it was probably one of the most excited the team was of the year.
All right, Coach, and finally this upcoming week, Tuesday, you have St. John's out in Queens, of course, a team that's very familiar with the NCAA tournament, and then home opener, knock on wood, weather-wise, against Towson, a 3-game set, bringing the Tigers up to Hempstead, a very different offensive team than James Madison. Do you see this as the opportunity to really turn the early season around for you guys?
We need to, for sure. We have to, start to try to get back to doing what we did last year and win series, and we can't be giving series away, and definitely can't be getting swept like we did. It'd be nice to get out again tomorrow, but looking like a 90% chance of rain tomorrow, and nobody to really make up. But, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is looking good. Towson's had a really, great club so far early season. They won 2 of 3 2 weekends ago from Duke. I know they won yesterday, was a 19-14 against Delaware, and they're going to have a really tough club. And Mike Godley team is always a tough club to play, and they've always given us a hard time.
Of course, the Towson team probably playing a little inspiration now. The official news of the baseball program being canceled after this season. But John Russo, head coach of the Hofstra baseball team. I'm Mike Marabito. This has been the WB Mason Report on GoHofstra.com. Hofstra in action Tuesday against St. John's and this weekend against Towson.